Round 14 and the final round of the Formula 1 2022 season comes to Suzuka for the Japanese Grand Prix, a venue which has rapidly become a fan favorite to end off the season's action. Coming into this race weekend, both Red Bull and Ferrari camps were filled with nerves and tension as the Constructors title hangs in the balance with a current difference of 1 point between the two teams. And if Audi have a strong enough weekend, they could equally come in and snatch the title from underneath the two. Equally, the pressure is on for the driver's title, with Pierre Ghastly a mere 3 points ahead in the standings to aarava, and Carlos Sainz only a further 7 adrift. And after a disastrous Australian Grand Prix last time out, the Spaniard looked to be on a mission to make up for it by setting the top times all throughout Friday. But looking closer into long-run pace, it seems Red Bull and Ferrari will be slightly stronger, with Audi suffering in Sector 1's high downforce corners. Renault and Mercedes will once again look to be the spanner in the works for all three of our championship contending teams, and the paddock expects quite a close race for every single points-paying position. Being the final race, however, you can bet every team is going to be on high alert, with McLaren and BMW locked into a fight for 6th and 7th in the standings, and the remaining teams all scrapping away for 8th to 10th. But finally, moving back to the focus of the weekend, Ghastly, Sainz, and aarava have all been title rivals in previous seasons of F1 MyDriver, but never at the same time. Today that changes as the three long-standing prominent members of the F1 grid go head-to-head for the drivers and constructors titles in what is F1 MyDriver's last ever race. And so the time has come to take a look at the final grid for the 2022 season, and there's only one championship contender on the front row, as Carlos Sainz used his Audi's strong one-lap pace to good effect and snatch his pole position ahead of the Renault of Esteban Ocon. Row 2 features another contender, but not before the second Renault of Jack Aitken, who snatched third position from Pierre Ghastly in the closing stages of qualifying, the Frenchman with overtakes to make before he can challenge Sainz. Row 3 features a Ferrari, but not the one in the driver's fight. Charles Leclerc will start from 6th position behind the silver arrows of Max Verstappen, which means, of course, the third contender for the title, aarava, will have to start from way down in 7th position, and unfortunately for him, alongside the teammate of his rival on pole as Vettel slots into P8. Once again, there was only one BMW featured in Q3, and that was Sergio Perez, who will start ahead of Gasly's teammate Antonio Giovinazzi, who might run long on his first stint or try an alternate strategy in order to hold up Sainz and aarava in the race. Row 6 sees the other BMW of Valtteri Bottas edge out the leading Jag of Stoffel Van Dorn. However, it will be Daniel Ricciardo that leads the charge for McLaren this time. He's joined on the 7th row by the other Merc of Schumacher, 9 positions behind his teammate Max Verstappen. Row 8 sees the Haas of Hulkenberg get the better of the second McLaren of Lando Norris, who hasn't started this far off his teammate in a very long time. And then it's a big gap of a few tenths down to the 9th row, where the other Haas of Wehrlein actually got the better of Ilott, the unsurprising lead Alpha for today's race. And finally, the Jag of Kari and Alpha of Fuoco will be bringing up the rear ahead of the 2022 Japanese Grand Prix and last ever race in MyDriver.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 MyDriver career mode, episode number 14 today for Season 8 at the Japanese Grand Prix, the Season, nay, series finale here of F1 MyDriver career mode. It has been quite a journey, but here we are then, the last ever episode of F1 MyDriver here at the Japanese Grand Prix, and we have a three-way title fight between Pierre Ghastly, myself, and Carlos Sainz there. Ghastly goes into the one following the last episode at the Australian Grand Prix, leading the way by 3 points, 175 to myself, 172, 3 points back. Then Carlos Sainz a further 7 there with 165 points after an unfortunate race for him. If you guys did miss the Australian Grand Prix, the last episode uploaded 2 days ago, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. It was a really crazy race and a crucial one that sets up this finale between the three of us, and also sets up a rivalry in the Constructors Championship, as Ferrari, my team now, me and Leclerc, are only 1 point ahead of Red Bull Racing. So the Constructors Championship is also up for grabs, but it has been such a hectic season, so many ups and downs, and this is how the graph looks between Ghastly, myself, and Sainz from round 1 to round 14 here. Ups and downs, you can see where people have caught up and where others have dropped off, but ultimately it leaves us here with a really close finale in store. And it's going to be absolutely thrilling to watch, I think. And it's going to be quite emotional for me to go through this episode and slowly realise this will be the last time I say the words, "This is the F1 My Driver career mode." But here we go, then, lining up for the grid for the final time here for the Japanese Grand Prix here in Suzuka. With less than ideal qualifying with Ghastly and Sainz both ahead of us on the grid, but I'm confident of the race pace around Suzuka, and you just never know, really. Since it's the finale, tensions are high. And like I said last episode at the end, never stop believing. And, you know, we didn't think we'd even be in this position to potentially win the title before the Australian Grand Prix. So I'm not giving up, and I hope you guys are not as well. So after today, we could potentially become a 4-time world champion. 2015, 2017, 2021. Will it be the title here in 2022? Let's find out as we go to 5 red lights for the Japanese Grand Prix, the last race of this season. The 5 red lights are out and we're underway for a final 27 laps here in the F1 My Driver career mode. It's been a stonking start by Max Verstappen. It's been an okay one for us. Can we find the room down the inside of Leclerc? It's 4 wide into turn 1 and the Renaults are off a little bit. Verstappen's really getting the elbows out and Ghastly is going the long way round. He's up into P3. We're still P7, finding ourselves behind Leclerc and Aiken going side by side. Can I squeeze round the outside, find the grip? Yes, we can. And we're up 2 places there. My teammate helping me out massively. Squeezes the Renault to the left. And we managed to find the room. And Leclerc made that very, very easy. Of course, he knows that I'm the one in the championship fight. Both of us want to do well today. But I think he's going to be very helpful this afternoon. So thank you very much. Up into P5. Chase after Verstappen. But there's a mistake. A mistake on the curbing. We've lost traction. And we've lost those places back. We have to re-overtake Jack Aiken down the inside of our fellow Brit, the man I had contact with at the Brazilian Grand Prix, and he's just about out of traction just off the hairpin, so I have to try and do this into the spoon section, slipstream the Renault guy, and we're on the right hand side, squeezing through a little bit of a bump, but on the outside we find it, and we're back up into P6 now. We'll get on the back of our teammate once again, and hopefully, like I said, Leclerc this afternoon will be helping me rather than hindering me. Of course, the man who won the last Grand Prix, but, you know, spirits may be high for him, but he knows that he's not in the title fight, so hopefully he's helpful. And behind me, look at that, Sergio Perez makes a great overtake. On that was Sebastian Vettel. The two go side by side. The German on the outside, the Mexican on the inside. They're still neck and neck, and Aiken's been overtaken by both of them there. And I think that was Perez on the inside of 130R, so that was very impressive. But the Audi uses the power despite the BMW having the traction out the last corner. And he's actually then re-overtaken, it looks like, by the Renault maybe. So Perez really in the wars here. He's actually still side by side with Aiken, but he's going to just about squeeze him out maybe. Yes, no, Aiken comes back, but into the S section. I think the BMW car will just about have it. Yes, he will. And that's a great scrap behind us for what will be for P7 downwards. Giovinazzi not doing too well to start this Grand Prix. Remember, there's also a Constructors fight on between Red Bull, Ferrari and Audi, so, you know, the likes of Giovinazzi down there at low points is pretty big news for myself and Audi in terms of good news. And so now we're going to dive down the inside of Leclerc, and he makes that very easy for us. But it's a lock-up from Verstappen. I pressurise him. We go toe-to-toe with Leclerc momentarily, but of course he makes it easy for us, but not so much for Verstappen. And again, are we going to have another ding-dong battle with Max Verstappen for one last time here? Down the inside into Spoon. He's going to give us the room on the outside, but squeeze us equally into the apex. Bit of tyre banging going on, and opposite lock on the exit. Try and keep the power down right up his gearbox there. But now here we go, down towards 130R. But look at Leclerc. Leclerc on the right hand side. He's overtaken Verstappen. He's also overtaken me, and he's on the outside of 130R. What a beautiful move there by my teammate, and he's up into P4. We're P5, but it's you got to say, great teamwork and great tandem racing here between us two Ferraris. You know, at this rate, we've definitely got a good chance for the Constructors. It's just a still question of obviously the driver's title, and so here we go. We pull to the right hand side, and Leclerc is going to make this a nice and easy move. Thank you very much, Charles. And we can get back up into now what is our brand new position of P4, of course. And up ahead is Esteban Ocon, so Ghastly's overtaking the Frenchman. We've missed that somewhere, so we're going to have to look at a replay at some point. But if it was to end like this, Carlos Sainz in first, Ghastly in second place, and me fourth, obviously Ghastly would take the title, so we still have plenty of work to do. But talking about replays, let's have a look at that opening battle into turn 1. 4 wide it was, and we'll stay with the camera angle. Look at that, nearly 2 cars off there, and Ghastly really on the wars on the inside, so we'll have a look on board. Now with him, the Frenchman gets a pretty decent run. Sainz, got to say, quite slow off pole. Then look at Verstappen there, the green wing down the inside and 4 wide. Look how much, oh my god, Ghastly absolutely sends it down the inside, and that is a man desperate to try and win his first ever World Championship here, sending it down the inside. And to be fair to him, fair play, he's made it work. He's up into P3 just from that move. So he had the balls to make the pass down the inside and try it, and it's worked. It's semi-worked off there. But this was the real main catalyst of that 4-wide moment. Verstappen, electric start, and then fully off circuit there. Gets pushed wide by Ocon, who really gets the elbows out and manages to stay ahead of Ghastly there. And Verstappen actually tried to overtake Ghastly, but he has to remain in P4. So the man that was actually who lost out the biggest out of that entire thing was probably Aiken on the complete outside. He got shoved right into the grass and the gravel there, and a good view from my team at Leclerc. You could see that 4-wide moment straight away, so I don't know what on earth was going through his head, but he just kept it calm. And then this was the moment here. He's too busy battling Aiken, and he actually leaves me the room. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but we just find the room round the outside, and we're able to make that pass. So I was very thankful for that. And then here's when I lost the back end, and he got past me. Thankfully, obviously, I was able to get back there. But yeah, some good teamwork, or unintentional or intentional or not, it still worked out for us the better way into the opening lap of the Grand Prix. And this was the pass that we missed then. This was whilst I was overtaking, I believe, Leclerc. This was Ghastly on Esteban Ocon, just down the inside. No DRS there, just pure slipstream. The Red Bull Chevrolet engine, maybe they turned up the wick, of course. Quite a crucial part in the race. And that means now it's Carlos Sainz in first and Pierre Gasly in second place. My two championship rivals are 1 and 2 now. Not the best scenario, but it's the one we're given now. And so we have to fight on and try and move on to the next opponent in front of us, which is that man in blue, Esteban Ocon here. So here we go, down towards 130R. We're in P4. This is for P3, and then to start chasing after our two rivals. And we're closing up to Ocon through 130R. We're going to be right up his gearbox. We enter the chicane brake zone. Can we make a move down the inside? We're going to try it, but at the last minute there, just don't have the space to make the move down the inside, and Ocon lops off the front end there and makes the apex, of course, as he would. And so we're going to have to wait until the main straight, then DRS open, and this might be the easier pass, to be fair, as we set the fast lap of the Grand Prix. Then down the inside, and a big dive to the inside, and we make it work nice and calm. Looking behind me, and Leclerc is right up his chuff, so that's good news for me, because I need Leclerc to maybe be a bit of a rear gunner. So if he can overtake Ocon, that'd be very ideal. Meanwhile, back behind still is Vettel ahead of Perez, and then Aiken, and then a bit further back is Giovinazzi. You can see struggling to just about hold on ahead of Valtteri Bottas' BMW. So that is not great news for Red Bull. You know, Gasly's up there in P2, but P2 alone for Ghastly is not going to be enough for Red Bull to take home this Constructors title. So Christian Horner's definitely going to need Giovinazzi on the pit wall to step it up there, and the McLaren's trailing a little bit further behind. And meanwhile now, as we go through the laps then, this opening stint, here Ghastly closing up to Carlos Sainz, and there we are in the background then in P3. But look at that, the three top rivals in this championship, 1, 2 and 3. And funnily enough, if me and Ghastly were just swapped one position and it was to end Sainz, myself and then Ghastly, mathematically we could draw on points, which is just quite a little fun fact that I think one of you guys said in the comments below of last episode. But yeah, really need to see the three rivals of the championship in the top 3. You know, no BS, no traffic. It's going to be a straight fight, it looks like, at the moment here in this opening stint. Meanwhile, a bit further down the road, Lando Norris pressurising Schumacher, and Schumacher with a mistake there into the last corner of the chicane, and Norris right around the outside. An important battle there for the McLarens as they tried their best to maintain a Constructors championship position there. And will Ricciardo now have a pop? The more senior man in the McLaren on the left-hand side, on the outside of turn 1, Schumacher still keeps it in there side by side. A great scrap between the German and Aussie man, and he's actually lost out there. And Ricciardo now is fighting the Haas Chevrolet. I think that's Hulkenberg, and he's on the outside. He's actually done him. And so Ricciardo, instead of gaining one position, loses one. And so once again, Lando Norris showing up his more senior teammate there, doing a great job in the last race. And then back behind the Alfa Romeos, just ahead of the second Haas car, Callum Ilott there doing a great job this season. At the moment, it might be a bit of a quiet Grand Prix for him to end off the season, but he's had such a great rookie debut in F1, and he's definitely done enough probably to take over from my seat when I retire at the end of this season from this Ferrari seat. Meanwhile, back to the top action then. Ghastly still pressurising Sainz. He's well within 1 second here and in the DRS range, but obviously the Audi's going to have the straight line speed advantage, and Ghastly actually comes in early then compared to me and Sainz. He comes in early for his first pit stop there onto another set of super soft tyres. I imagine we continue on, and we'll go on for one more lap, I think, and try and close up on Sainz if we can. And I don't know how long Sainz will go. Of course, the Audis sometimes have tried a bit of a contra strategy, so we'll see how it goes. And we do catch up visually. You can see a lot closer to Carlos Sainz at the end of that lap, but we're going to come in. Sainz actually, like, what did I say? He stays out for one more at least. So on lap 7, we're in for a set of super soft tyres then, and we'll try and match Ghastly and try and cover him off. He'll have a bit of an undercut, but you never know. He might have been caught up in traffic, and obviously Suzuka around here, although it's, it promotes quite good overtaking, there is Sector 1, which is quite notorious for, being held up in traffic. So we'll see where Ghastly is going to feed out compared to us. Where on earth is that Red Bull car as we come down the pit lane then? And you know what? I think he has been held up in a bit of traffic here, because no sign of him yet. There he is now on the outside, and oh my god, so close on our outside there to our front left tyre. Nearly made some contact there on the pit exit, but Ghastly, we have definitely caught up to him. He's been held up by some traffic of Nico Kari here in the Jaguar car. The Jaguar may be pretty piss poor in the corners, but it's still got a great engine underneath it, and McLaren have definitely shown that this season with some good performances. So held up there Ghastly has, and maybe it's a good idea then from Carlos Sainz to do that overcut strategy effectively, because he's still going on, and it takes us till the end of that outlap then on lap 8 here to maybe try and make a move. But first, Ghastly will probably make the move on the left hand side down the inside of 130R. We're going to close up with some slipstream, but I just have to sit back and watch this fight for a second here. I'm literally right up the gearbox of Ghastly, and you can see getting boxed in here. We break a little bit early, calm things down. I'm confident we can get him off the last corner onto the pit straight onto lap 9, so no need to kind of try a heroic dive on the outside, open up DRS, but Kari will have DRS as well. And actually, look at that, he moves to the inside of the circuit, so he squeezes us to the inside there, and there comes Carlos Sainz. Oh my god, a heart-in-mouth moment there between myself and Sainz. There was literally an inch of space, and I've somehow come down unscathed. Sainz on our outside though, we go toe-to-toe with him, and Sainz is just about going to hold that through. So effectively, Ghastly now is in the net race lead. Sainz down to an effective P2 and me P3 once everyone makes their pit stops. But oh my god, that was so close. That like an inch maybe more to the right, and I would have been smashing into Carlos Sainz's front left. A little bit more to the left, I probably would have taken out Pierre Ghastly and maybe Nico Kari into the brake zone there. But had to send it, much like Ghastly, to turn 1 of lap 1. I just had to send it there because I had to at least make the move on the Jaguar, if not on the Audi as well. And so now we have to chase back Carlos Sainz after being a bit flustered into the hairpin. But really, after that entire sequence, the only real winner is Pierre Ghastly, because he's overtaken Sainz with the undercut. He didn't get he didn't get away from me. I caught up to him with my overcut. So yeah, unfortunate way that kind of ended up. And really, if it wasn't for Kari, I probably would have overtaken Sainz the first time, but we're gonna have to make it the second time round down the inside of 130R. Sainz hangs it on the outside, and will he outbrake me? Yes, he will. I'm not that great under the brakes, so I will admit that into the chicane. Very cautious there, because with these V10 cars, you carry so much speed into that chicane. It's so easy just to go straight on. So a little bit cautious on the brakes maybe compared to the rest of my rivals there. But we do make the move eventually through the chicane, squirt the throttle, that second part of the chicane. We made it work, and we're up the order. In the lead, though, at the moment is actually Stoffel Van Dorn, my ultimate from Jaguar, followed by Lando Norris, and then Mick Schumacher in the Mercedes car, and then you got Dan Ricciardo in P4. P5 then is Pierre Ghastly. But I want to say there, on that one of those camera shots, there was definitely a bit of rain, I'm not going to lie. And I think there's, if you look close enough, yeah, I think there's some spray off these tyres. Is it starting to rain now at the Japanese Grand Prix? And so quite poetically, maybe there's going to be some rain to add into the mix and be another spanner in the works here in the final race of this season finale. Yes, there is some rain. Clearly, it is very damp out there, and this is where maybe you can make and break a championship. So don't want to do anything rash. Well, we are catching up to Ghastly, but I think it's going to be straight in for the intermediates, I feel, with a lot of understeer into the chicane. And thinking about the wider picture here for the entire grid, this wet period might help everyone out in terms of the strategy play today. It was kind of up in the air what everyone would do and a completely dry race with the higher tyre wear, Pirelli slicks. But now we're going to Inters for a little bit. This might change up the plans, and so we might not need any of the other coloured tyres this afternoon. So we'll have to just wait and see. But everyone in then, Sainz in as well behind me, intermediate strapped on, I imagine. Leclerc, my teammate, will be in soon enough as well behind me, so the team are going to have to get his tyres ready. But we're down the pit lane. It's still lovely to see the fact that you can see in one camera shot nearly Ghastly, myself, and Sainz there. Down the pit lane we go. Obviously, no places lost in the pit lane, no calamities there for anyone, which is good to see. No BS or anything like that. Still, no mistakes. Of course, Sainz already had his fair share of bad luck last episode. But actually now, as we look at the track cameras, something I completely forgot about was all these runners that were ahead of Ghastly, Sainz, and myself, who had yet to make a single pit stop in this race. You've got Jack Aitken, Van Dorn, Lando Norris out in the lead on Inters already. And it's actually Leclerc who's still out there on the slick tyres in second place. Ricciardo's out in first place on dry tyres. Very, very odd stuff there by the Australian and my teammate. I really hope Leclerc has measured that and the team have calculated he's not going to lose too much time there, as Sainz now later down the road on that same outlap overtakes the Alfa Romeo, still on dry tyres as well. And would you look at that, I think that's a triple overtake for Sebastian Vettel down the main straight through 130 yards. Still 3 wide between the Haas, Renault and Jaguar, and the Jaguar make contact and he's in the wall. It's Nico Kari with his race-ended season over there in the Jaguar. Bit of contact with the Renault and he's gone into the barrier. And there is Leclerc. Meanwhile, whilst he crashes into the barrier, he's out. He's actually ahead. He's ahead of Carlos Sainz. Leclerc has jumped the Spaniards with an overcut strategy with the dry tyres on that track. He was going around that track you see before us on dry tyres, and he's managed to find the time to overtake Carlos Sainz effectively there. I think Sainz, that kind of clearly shows how much time Sainz lost behind the Alfa Romeo then. For that entire outlap, it wasn't enough to get ahead and remain ahead of Leclerc. So fantastically cool strategy then for Leclerc. And so he's up now behind me on the road then. And there's Sainz behind him. Up ahead though, to confirm the race order, it is those 3 cars of Lando Norris, Stoffel Van Dorn and Mick Schumacher that lead the way. They were yet to make a pit stop in this Grand Prix, and because they're on soft tyres, and they just pit straight onto intermediate. And so those 3 are top 3. Then P4 is Pierre Ghastly, and then I'm in P5. But there you go, P3 is Mick Schumacher, and actually P1 is Van Dorn. Van Dorn's actually managed to overtake Lando Norris. I think he just did that just then. I think we just about missed that overtake maybe. And so Van Dorn is in the lead of the Japanese Grand Prix in these intermediate conditions. Lando Norris and the McLaren second, and in the monster Mercedes car is then Mick Schumacher. So what a crazy outcome that is for these 3 cars then, as Lando Norris pressurizes Van Dorn into turn 1. Let's take a look at a replay then for his teammate's sake. Nico Kari in the other Jaguar out of the Grand Prix now, but look at this, a fantastic triple overtake there by Vettel there. Cool head on even cooler shoulders, but then down the inside Kari goes, and it's a bad bit of contact, and that is just so unfortunate. That is what the intermediate period can do to you. You know, in these conditions, you just have to tiptoe around the circuit, and it's about survival. You know, you're trying to go fast, yes, but it's also equally about survival around here in these kind of conditions on any circuit. And Kari there, that's just not clever. He didn't need to stick his nose in there. And so now as we close up to Pierre Ghastly on lap 14 here, that is the exact kind of measured approach we're going to need if we want to try and overtake him. You know, let alone overtake him on the dry, it was going to be difficult enough. Overtaking him in these conditions is going to be a full-blown task. And so I'm going to have to try and learn a bit about his what his racing lines are around these periods. It's going to take us maybe a lap or 2 to really warm up and get in the groove. Of course, I'll fully admit I've never been the best in intermediate or full wet conditions so far this season. These V10s are incredibly difficult to drive anyway in the dry, let alone in the wet. But you know, we're going to have to go for it, because now that the top 3 are taken up by cars that aren't even in the championship hunt, it's really completely out the window in terms of, even if I overtake Ghastly right now, and if it ended me P4, him P5, that would not be enough for us to overtake him in the championship. So at the moment, a little bit of a worrying time for me in the race, because I need to overtake not only Ghastly, but then go and chase after those 3 cars. Meanwhile, a little bit back behind us, this is Daniel Ricciardo, who was P6 on the road, but he suffered a puncture. It looks like that he's going very slowly. I think that's a front left puncture. He holds up Leclerc and Sainz for a little bit there at the top of the hill, but that's a puncture on the front left there for the Aussie man. Very, very unfortunate. I don't know what's caused that. Maybe a little bit debris maybe from some other fight we've not seen, but that gives Leclerc and Sainz a free position. But you can see there, Leclerc still doing a great job to keep Sainz at bay, and I need him to do that for the sake of a Constructors fight. Remember, that's still also up for grabs today. Not only the driver's title is getting sorted, it's onto the Constructors. So Leclerc ahead of Sainz, that's good. But here we go now, closing up to Ghastly on lap 15, and with Ricciardo stricken there on the left-hand side of the circuit, that might just put off Pierre Ghastly a little bit, because we closed up Measly enough to make a move to the inside of 130. Ghastly's off circuit, comes back on, and he's planted the power as he comes back on circuit, and he's managed to outbrake us there, goes across the racing line to cover us off. And so that's the first bit of dueling myself and Pierre Ghastly have had this afternoon in the wet conditions. And first blood goes to Ghastly there. Tried to make something happen in 130R, but Ghastly has the confidence under braking into the chicane. Can we try something into turn 1 maybe on the outside? Will Ghastly force us wide a little bit? We have to ride the curb, and you can see the understeer kicking in there, and they just don't have the full grip. A little bit opposite lock. We try to plant the power and get it down the inside the S section then, and we're going to have a duel on the outside. Can we find the grip? We're on the inside then. The Ghastly will have the better racing line into the next right-hander. We're on the off-cambered part of the circuit there, and I just can't find the grip to plant the power. Oh my god! made contact with Ghastly, and we've gone opposite lock twice there. And that is a proper heart-in-mouth moment there. I was inches away from absolute calamities. That could have easily spun straight into the barrier on the left there. I went opposite lock twice. The steering wheel was completely upside down there, and we somehow managed to survive that. And that is what I'm talking about with the move with Kari earlier and how we need a measured approach. You know, we got lucky just then. I can't afford any more of those. I feel like I'm only going to have so much luck in these conditions there. So, indeed, very much first blood to be a Ghastly there. But, wow, that was too close. Too close for my liking. But meanwhile then, for the race lead, which is quite weird to say, between Van Dorn, Norris and Schumacher, so close together, the top three. And Van Dorn's made a mistake. He's locked up into the chicane. And Lando Norris round the outside. He's made it work, and he's up into first place of the Japanese Grand Prix. It's now Van Dorn down to P2. Schumacher close third there. But a really close scrap between the top three. Fantastic to see. And all the while, me and Ghastly are closing them up. Whilst I'm trying to close up on Ghastly, both of us as a duo are closing up on these three, which is good news for me, because remember, I need to overtake Ghastly, and then minimum, I need to overtake another car and have Ghastly not follow me into that position, because I need to beat him by 3 points in positions, remember. So it's really not going to be an easy task. A lot of things have to fall into place here, and you can still see I'm struggling to even keep up with him in Sector 1 there with another twitch of oversteer, and it's just about refinding my confidence there. It was definitely shaken a little bit after that opposite lock moment, but here we go, lap 17, 10 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Can we find the momentum here? The slipstream down to 130R once again. We had a little look to the inside there, not enough pace though in a straight line to make a move there. Gonna have to wait till the chicane now. Down the inside we go, big dive bomb there, lock up on the front left, and we smash Ghastly's front right tire. Ghastly shoves us back on to the right side of the circuit on the traction there. Ghastly's got it. There's more contact there as Ghastly cuts across our racing line, and it's all getting a little bit hot under the collar between myself and Pierre Ghastly. The second duel of the afternoon in the intermediates on the left-hand side. Once again, trying it around the outside of turn one. Again on the curving slightly, and that's going to give us some understeer. But this time we've got a little bit better grip, but oh my god! Again, with the opposite lock on the exit of the corner this time to just about keep it in a straight line and keep it on the black stuff on the road here. But I am really flirting in terms of trying to keep this car on the road, and that's second blood then to Pierre Ghastly. We've had 2 attempts, twice now he's able to defend there. He's doing a brilliant job, and you can tell he really wants to keep this position right now, because it's the easier way for him to take home this title. And later on, I think only a lap or two later, Lando Norris is in then for his second pit stop in these intermediates then for another set of inters. Schumacher and Van Dorn will continue on for one more lap, but it looks like the rain is here to stay, so everyone is going to come in for another stop on inters. I'm in, Ghastly's in, so don't panic. We're not losing time. We're not making a silly pit stop here. Everyone is coming in for another set of inters. The inters are wearing out more than everyone thought they would, because it stopped raining actually. If you look closer, it's not actually raining that much anymore down from the heavens here. It's just really now a damp track that's potentially starting to dry out now a little bit, and that's overheating the inters now. As we come out at the moment, Jack Aitken's got ahead of us, and he splits myself and Ghastly, but by the time we close up to him on lap 19, he will thankfully come straight in for his pit stop onto another set of inters. Sainz is in then in the pit lane then, but he's pretty much now out of the fight. You know, he needed to pretty much win this Grand Prix to have any chance of winning the championship. So that's unfortunate for the Spaniard, and it kind of ended quite abruptly for him, obviously, after that first set of pit stops where myself and Ghastly managed to overtake him. So it really is just me and Ghastly now. We fought him before in 2018, both in the same team at Red Bull. That turned out to be a bit of a civil war, and then we fought last year, Haas v Red Bull, and now it's come to this, the third time, the third fight, and the third attempt of me trying to overtake him here. Ferrari v Red Bull, trying to get the power down. You can see how slippery it is, but here we go. Third time of asking now. Can we do it? This time, though, crucially to the inside of turn one there, but we've overshot it a little bit. I think a bit hot, too hot into the apex there. We've run wide again, and yet again we find ourselves on the inside here into the S section. This time, though, with a much better run. Tiny bit of contact was made on the side pop, where we're just trying to now tiptoe around the outside, and we have found it on the outside this time. Third time lucky of asking, and literally just managed to squirrel and dance around the outside of Pierre Ghastly into the S section. and we're up into P4. But the job is not over yet, my friends. We need to overtake at least P3 now and hope Ghastly remains in P5. But now at the moment, quickly looking at the action down the order, this is now Sainz pressurizing Leclerc into turn 1, and it's a lock up there from Leclerc. He's gone wide, and he's completely been mugged off by Carlos Sainz there. Sainz up into P6, Leclerc down to P7. That's no worry, though. That'll still be good enough for the constructors there, with me doing the job at the moment up top. But now for a move for P2, Schumacher, lovely little move there. Of course, his father was very well known for being good in the wet, and looks like he's carried forward that trait in the gene pool there. He's up into P2 now, ahead of Stoffel Van Dorn, who's down to P3 in that Jaguar car. And now we move on to lap 23 then. Ghastly still very much behind me, within 1 second just about, but you can see the track is looking drier and drier by the minute, and so I think it is now time to come in for the slick tyres. So this is going to be very interesting. We're coming in for the super soft tyres. Ghastly's in, everyone is in, and so now it is effectively a sprint to the end. 4 laps to go, and I need to overtake at least one more car up ahead of me, be it Van Dorn, Schumacher, Norris, whoever it is. I need to overtake someone and get up into P3, and then hope that Ghastly does not follow me through and remains in at least P5 or lower there. I don't know, maybe Leclerc and Sainz can join in the action. I just don't know how it's going to play out, but here we are now, out on lap 24, and it's all to play for. We are driving for a 4th World Championship right here. But now let's drive, we can fully unlock the potential of this Ferrari's pace, and as we go through Spoon, catching up to Van Dorn rapidly, still a bit damp out there on the curbing, so need to watch out for that, and hopefully we don't get held up by Van Dorn too much and fight too much, because that might let Ghastly back into the fight. So here we go through 130R, very, very rapid here. Can we pressurize down the inside for a dive bomb? No, Van Dorn! Oh, Van Dorn's locked up, and he's gone off circuit just like he did before, and we're up into P3. Van Dorn has gifted us P3 there with a bad mistake there. What did I say? It was so damp still there on the curbing in the brake zone there. It looked like Van Dorn just got a tyre on the grass. Let's look at a replay then. That's a great mistake for me, a bad one for Van Dorn from the podium position. Oh, double lock up there. He almost goes straight on, and then he almost actually made contact with me. Thank Lord he did not make more contact with me right then on the exit of the chicane. But then here is Ghastly. He's still got some time to find, nearly a second before he even gets onto the back of Van Dorn. So it's looking good now. If it ended like this, me P3, P5 Ghastly, we would win the Drivers' Championship. Lando Norris is in a very commanding lead of the Japanese Grand Prix. We are now on to the last lap of this Japanese Grand Prix. Schumacher P2. We are closing up to him rapidly to try and be safe, because if I overtake him, then it's done and done. But here is Ghastly. Yeah, he's still yet to overtake Van Dorn. He's closing up though. He's only now just caught up to the Jaguar car on the last lap of the Grand Prix. Can the Frenchman do it for his first championship in F1 through 130R? Not closing enough. We're going to have a little late dive bomb on Schumacher. Doesn't work out, but it doesn't matter. We're going to let that go. It doesn't matter, because we're going to finish up in P3 at the Japanese Grand Prix. Ghastly's going to be P5, and we are going to win our 4th World Championship.
Yes, great drive, great drive. Free, well done, mate, well done, good job. Well done. Slow switch down. Numero 1 is back, top class.
Sì ragazzi, boys. Yes, grazie. Get in there, get in. Never stop believing. Come on.
You're great, you magic. Ferrari's back, Ferrari's back. Fantastico, fantastico. Sei un campione.
So there we have it, guys. We have won our 4th World Championship here, and we've done it in some style. Lando Norris ends up being the race winner, though, for the Japanese Grand Prix. What a fantastic win for him and the junior man to round off the 2022 season in quite some way. But there we have it. The 4th world title added on to the 3 we already had in 2015, 2017, and 2021. And we did manage to win the Constructors' Championship as well. But here is the full standings then, and of course we have the second half of the table. I do keep track of all the points, so this is the entire table here, the first 2 halves. So this is the first half, of course. There you can see myself ahead of Pierre Ghastly by a measly 2 points. Once again went down right to the wire. Unfortunately, Carlos Sainz, although started off the race really well with that lead, that just fell away from him, and he ends up in 3rd place there, a little bit further back from Pierre Ghastly, 173 points, and then very, very close then from the likes of P4 down to around even 8, you want to say. say, all within maybe a race win of, getting up the table there. Leclerc, Ocon, Giovinazzi, Vettel, Verstappen. Funny how Vettel and Verstappen, even though they swap teams, they still end up being quite close to one another in the standings, despite making the swap from Audi to Merc and the other way around, vice versa. But like I mentioned, in the Constructors title, Ferrari do remain top. We went into this race with 1 point ahead of Red Bull, and we do keep that with 319 to 307. So I believe it's the only second time in MyDriver history that the driver that's won the Drivers' Championship is also part of the team that wins the Constructors. It happened in 2015, the very first season, with myself winning it with McLaren, and then it's happened again at the very end. How kind of fitting in a way, how it began with a double win for the driver and the constructor he was driving for, and in the same way ends like that with myself at Ferrari then. But in between, it never went to the same driver and constructor pairing. So very, very odd in that kind of way, and kind of shows how competitive the season was. Audi will come away frustrated there in third place, and Renault as well in P4 after such a strong start for Renault. And of course, they came back here to end the season strong, but the midway was just a bit too weak for them. Mercedes, what a job for them. They came back from like second last, even bottom there, all the way back up into fifth place. Solid fifth place for them. And the McLaren keep it ahead of BMW then with that amazing win for Lando Norris. That leaps them ahead into sixth place, and BMW have to settle for seventh place. And then it ends off with Jaguar leapfrogging not only Alfa Romeo but also Haas with Van Dorn's fourth place there, and they're in eighth. Haas remain in ninth place then with Alfa Romeo in P10. And I just mentioned there and reminisced about some of the past seasons. If you are curious about how past seasons of MyDriver have gone, here is the full kind of record sheet then of how every season has been broken down, and you can see there it's been quite a topsy-turvy career for me. 8 seasons, 2015 to 2022. Won it with McLaren in 2015, won it with Mercedes in 2017, 2021 finally with Haas after making a mid-season switch from Jaguar. Obviously, many crazy moments throughout my career. I'm thinking back to season 2 and 3, the fallout with Pascal Wehrlein. Season 4 was a close personal favourite of mine. So much crazy stuff happened in that season. The fallout and civil war with Pierre Ghastly, demoted to Toro Rosso for one race, winning the race in a Toro Rosso at the Italian Grand Prix. Jaguar was a very up and down kind of period. Gearbox issues in season 6, was it? And season 7, obviously the topsy-turvy one of changing midway through the season. And this season has been quite a poetic one in terms of I battled Sainz separately in a different championship fight. I've fought Pierre Ghastly twice on occasion as a teammate and as a rival last season in season 7, and now in the final season of MyDriver I battled both of them for the championship. So really good to end it off like that. But pretty much, guys, there's nothing much else for me to say. We have won our 4th World Drivers' Championship. We've won the Constructors with Ferrari. My job here is done, and this is sadly going to be the final episode ever of F1 MyDrive. And what a ride it has been. I don't feel like I'll find the correct words to exactly say what needs to be said at this point, but it's been such a journey. This started off, remember, from the simplest idea of the fact that F1 2015, the game, did not have a career mode, and the Honda was so horrendous, and me being a Jenson Button fan at the time, I wanted to see what would happen if the Honda engine was actually any good. And so we started MyDriver career mode on F1 2015, the game, and I had no idea at the time, 3 years ago, it was going to blow up to be the main flagship series on the channel, the series that I feel like if you mention my name on YouTube, I think that's the series you straight away know me for, is F1 MyDriver. And we've done it over 3 different games, 8 different seasons. Unheard of in terms of an F1 game series to span 3 different games like that and consistently keep a storyline going over all 8 seasons, which in some ways has been its downfall, because it's very hard for some of you new viewers to get into it, of course, because it's been going for so long. But that's also partly the reason why I feel like now it's time to close the last chapter and close the bookend. It's been a really great 8 seasons, but I feel like now it's run its course. It's time, every good TV series out there has to end, and I feel just like that. This, although so many of you guys are screaming out for another one final season, I feel like no, it is time to end it off here. end it on a high like this. And, well, I'm excited for the future. I will say there will be categorically 100% a highly modded series coming back to the channel on the F1 game. I just don't know when. Obviously, the timing has to be right. The preparation from my side with the modding has to be correct. I'm never going to rush it. So when the time is right, another highly modded series will begin. But that has been the F1 MyDriver career mode, guys. 2015 to 2022. In real life, 2015 to 2018. 8 seasons of F1 MyDriver career mode. It has been quite a journey, and I can't thank you guys enough. For those of you who have just hopped on recently, and those of you who have been on my journey with me with this series since the very first season, or season 2 and 3, which I feel like is probably the biggest jump on point, I think, season 2 and 3. If you've been here from that on, then I can't thank you guys enough. Week in, week out, when I upload these videos, the comments, the likes, the tweets I get as well, it's just unreal. It's unreal. You guys will never truly maybe be able to appreciate how much satisfaction I get from uploading the video and seeing all these amazing, reactions to the episodes. It just truly means so much. And if I could, I would literally only make these types of videos, but they take so much time to make that it can't be just the only thing I upload on the channel. But it truly has been my favorite series to make, period, history, since I've started YouTube. So thank you so much for supporting the series. I need to give also a big shout out to Justin Sutton out there, who's been doing the alternative commentary for me in the practice portions. I could not make these episodes as cool as they are without him, so thank you very much, Justin. He's the guy, if you don't know, who's doing the commentary for the practice and the grid for pretty much ever since, I think, season 2, I think. So, yeah, he's been on the journey with me, so thank you very much, Justin. And, yeah, once again, thank you all so much. I need to stop waffling, so I'm going to end off here. I think, like I said, I can't find the exact right word, so I'm going to call it here. That has been it. F1 MyDriver career mode, 2015 to 2022. It's been good. It's been good. It's been a fun ride, but it's time to end. It's all things have to come to an end. Yeah, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. And I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.
Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you?